But that type of pandering and lack of distance to it, the closer and closer we get to the final election day. It is the main reason that Kamala Harris is still right at even in many states with Trump. That and they don't parade Walz around enough. Dude has the same aura that comes along when someone brings a dog to a crowded area. Everyone just wants to be around him and enjoy conversation with him. Because God knows Kamala Harris is a character.
Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Just not a very connecting character. Alright, I said I would roast Democrats and Kamala Harris. After all, it's only fair. Even though I had made comments before slamming them, especially Harris and the other top Democrats, there is still more to say within the same scope as I had done to Donald Trump in his video, which, if you haven't watched yet, might I recommend you subscribe.
Shit. Got your ass.
Then you go watch the video and follow those clear instructions for some very important reasons. One, I think it is awesome you took the time to visit my channel and hope that it only benefits you. And two, I think you're awesome, amazing, and capable of being a part of the Logic Gang. Oh, and three, just so no one says I was hiding it, it's like 50% about the money potential that this could all make. And at the time of recording, cash is king. But hopefully, we can grow this community into something which doesn't need anything beyond you and myself to operate. And with that, let's get into how Kamala Harris is steering headfirst towards an iceberg with her platform.
Fucking me!
And guess what? It has nothing to do with her race.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying.
Who would have thunk it? Kamala has a huge problem with her distance from and near things that can hurt her and help her respectively. On July 21st, 2024, America took a W and what was initially perceived as an L by many. Joe Biden was dropping out and leaving the way for Kamala Harris to become the Democratic nominee, which legally is allowed and doesn't create any conflict of interest if you thought there was one. Because you see, it was dropping one name from the ticket and uplifting the other. But that created the first distance issue for Kamala. One Trump hopped right onto after he went through his usual week-long tantrum response to trauma.
But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Taking over the ticket with so little time left before the last big party-centric campaign advertisement to pull people on board was a whiplash the Democrats weren't prepared for. And as a result, Kamala Harris became a much less likable dark branding clone. She didn't do creepy things around other women. She was old, but she didn't look like half a pharmacy is needed to ensure she wakes in the morning.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President.
And she was more involved in positive narratives surrounding the most recent protest against brutality that many politicians were not so active in. But that is where the differences between her and Joe Brandon ended. Now, that is not the fault of Kamala Harris, to be fair. After all, excluding some rare instances in American history, the vice president, just like pretty much all cabinet members, serves at the leisure and direction of the president.
I serve at the pleasure of the President of the United States.
Sure, each one of them will interpret those instructions differently, but you're supposed to essentially promote the page of the person sitting behind the Resolute desk.
Oh, that's the Resolute desk.
You might recognize it from the famous photo of young JFK Jr. playing underneath while his father was working.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But many people don't know that this desk has a twin that sits in Buckingham Palace.
Isn't that something?
Little hilarious side fact, by the way. That desk is British.
Ah, Dickens. The imagery of cobblestone streets, craggy London buildings, and nutmeg-filled Yorkshire puddings. Hello, I'm a British person.
Yeah, given to President Hayes by Queen Victoria. And the wood comes from the British ship HMS Resolute. So if you think about it, we're still British because all presidents since have been ruling from this desk, which could technically hold the power of British rule.
I don't like you. I don't like you at all.
If I wasn't joking, that would explain so much with American fascination around the royal family, but alas, I was joking. Back on topic, the narrative behind Kamala not being far from Brandon was one that meant the honeymoon would end likely well before the Democratic convention. And then Kamala did something that many saw as a distancer from Joe Biden's presidency. She chose everyone's dad, Tim Walz, as her running mate in the election. Tim Walz is a heavy progressive-leaning candidate who slips up, sure, and gets excited a lot about a trip to China.
Hey, what is that? Microphone? Like legit?
But he ensures kids can eat, wants to hold bad cops accountable, and offer victims of police brutality some justice while also countering in a spiraling protest with part of the National Guard and then all of the Minnesota National Guard, which Trump approved of, by the way, stating, "I fully agree with the way he handled it the last couple of days," Trump said of Walz on a June 1st, 2020 call, during which he also described the Democratic governor as an excellent guy.
Aww, so cute.
Just like Vance during the debate, it's hard to be mean to the guy that has a very likable future as that one old guy everyone knows and likes to be around once he finally retires from politics. While serving as governor, Walz was big about medical debt, school lunch programs, legal cannabis access, and ensuring that those who wanted abortion would have access to it, which in America counts as progressive, hell, some would say socialist even. You would be so wrong if you thought that. You have no fucking idea. Just no idea how wrong you would be. This choice gave Kamala a significant boost in the polls, but I knew the moment that the convention started taking place, there was trouble brewing. Kamala Harris started uttering talking points that were somehow the center point of Biden's presidency. She brought up NATO, strong military, and support for the genocidal policies of Israel without calling them genocide, even though it's genocide. Even when there were pro-Palestinian protests right outside the convention. It's almost like Kamala Harris forgot she wasn't running for president to Joe again, but that she was running for president. She needed her own platform and her own progressive promise to the American people. Quite literally, the only reason Democrats win elections these days is if they promise some progressive legislation to the center of their campaign. For Biden, he was the pro-union guy, hence why you saw several strikes during his presidency. Obama platformed on Obamacare, making it sound as close to universal health care as he could, and eventually allowing its name to be changed to Affordable Care, because if it's named Obamacare, it's associated with Obama, and people still hate that guy for all the wrong reasons. Not saying you can't hate him. Oof. You're hating him for all the wrong reasons. Clinton promised he would fiddle only one female staffer and not visit Jeffrey Epstein. Oof. And also that he would roll back the trickle-down economics which had forced Bush Sr. to raise taxes on the middle class. And Carter was essentially Mr. Rogers with some political know-how, and by American standards asking everyone, no matter the color, creed, or sexual origin, to
won't you please, please won't you be my neighbor.
It's pretty progressive. Not only did she not properly distance from Biden, but she also hasn't properly distanced herself from the right. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's rather simple. She has pandered to the immigrant crime wave narrative, and she has also let the election crashes of 2020 and January 6th clout her narrative. And if there is one thing Americans don't like,
Ooh, no.
It's constantly talking about shit they don't care about. You want to know why Bernie wasn't all too prominent till after Obama and his progressive campaigns? Because most Americans liked the status quo that America had adopted. They didn't need real left-leaning policies, and they also didn't like that Bernie shouted it at them.
I'm so sick of the 1% getting this preferential treatment. Enough is enough.
Sure, many Republicans don't care about narratives that don't matter. Whatever is on the culture war plate for that quarter will do for them. But only the craziest ones hold on to the narrative beyond its lifespan. And so Republicans constantly innovate, constantly evolve the culture menu to ensure that Republicans always have a fresh new thing to care about. A shiny new car, one could say, if that new car was a fucking Ford Pinto covered in shit. Most Democrats are the same. They want to hear you pound the things that are problems for them right now. And Kamala was more focused on belittling Trump, affirming the policies of the previous administration, and repeating over and over about an opportunity economy without explaining beyond one point of $50K for first-time home buyers how she was going to back up that talk.
That's why we will create what I call an opportunity economy.
They don't need you to tell them that Donald Trump and his fellow Republican leadership and shills are egotistical, ignorant, and woefully misleading countless Americans and hurting themselves. I can drive 1 mile in my fairly liberal triangle area of Raleigh and see a Trump flag, hat, or someone that you can just tell votes red no matter the content of the candidate. Same way Republicans don't need someone to tell them that there is a mythical final boss that is blue-haired and going around snipping the genitals off of children to then make them trans and being let go by every Soros-funded DA in the entire country. Just saying, George yelled, boy, you are old as shit. You don't need any of that money you got, so how about you slide some of that into my bank account, okay? You know who else spoke about doing some glorious change, only to not give enough information behind it? Biden. Hence why Biden's confirmation as president was something that took some time. That and Georgia and Arizona have an army of old ladies with arthritis verifying election results.
Kiss my ass! Kiss your ass. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever noticed how stacks of paperwork, having frail hands and grabbing them, isn't exactly two things which go hand in hand. I know I say it a shit ton, and countless other left political pundits say it a lot as well.
Yes, Daddy!
And there was this glorious moment in television from the newsroom that says the same thing.
About fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of her paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money, it costs votes, it costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey! Democrats are too damn smart for their own good. That intelligence comes with an air of arrogance and an inability to see the obvious everyday problems Americans face. Which brings me to my next distance about Harris. Outside abortion right codification, Harris has used these final days leading up to the election to ask Republicans on the edge to join her side. What? And let's be real, just like most Democrats vote straight blue, most Republicans also vote straight red. Well, this election is different here in North Carolina because Mark Robinson wants to be a black Nazi, so someone on his staff should have told him. It didn't work for Kanye?
I see good things about Hitler also. The Jew, I love everyone.
And he's actually entertaining, so why in the hell would it work for you? But it's insane that Harris has been pounding the campaign trail with the intent to get Republican voters that already were planning to vote Trump the moment the Republican convention ended. And because her campaign website actually has some good platform ideas, ending unnecessary degree requirements for good paying jobs, increasing minimum wages beyond the federal level, support for manufacturing jobs, including inputting money into programs to assist in training mechanics and establishing construction jobs, improving support for those who are struggling with affordable and reliable care, expanding new business deductions, making it easier for small businesses to file taxes, empowering the feds and stopping mergers that harm consumers and allow companies to falsely increase prices claiming inflation is the problem, lowering healthcare costs and expanding negotiation ability with pharmaceutical companies over the cost of medicine, restoring the child tax credit, as well as increasing that credit for the first year of the child, and, of course, making the rich pay their fair share in taxes. Sure, she speaks about it here and there at her rallies. So what? Trump does the same. But when you look at the campaign ads coming out of the Harris campaign, it's focused on shitting on the Republicans and Trump rather than any real substance. Might have worked before '08 when the American economy was relatively copacetic, but maybe she doesn't know this. It is 2024. It's crazy because Kamala Harris has access to this issue's data. The cost of living information on the White House's own website is all she needs to bring things which allow her to connect better to countless Americans, including the Republicans she is trying to pry favor from, now by having Liz Cheney stand behind her. Yeah, that's right. She thinks having Liz Cheney endorse her and standing behind her campaign somehow will make her loved by on-the-fence Republicans. You want to know why Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump in 2016? It's two reasons. She dismissed the swing states of the Midwest like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio during the crucial final months of the campaign. And while some Americans are fascinated by British royalty, the last political dynasty that every American could generally come together on were the Kennedys.
He lost. As I always say, forgive your enemies, but remember their names.
Sure, her and Bill only had one kid and she isn't as heavily involved in politics. Hillary was a big enough name in politics and attached to a man who couldn't keep his dick in his pants since the first day they met. That's exactly why her campaign was pushing the narrative of "I'm with her" and hacked on the historical possibility of electing a female president. I am all for girl boss movement, okay? The Me Too movement and bringing down the patriarchy, which actually hurts men.
Explain it to me like I'm 6 years old.
Why can't a woman be a farmer, an astronaut, a business owner, a pilot, serve in the military at the highest ranks, or even become the president of the United States? Shit, every other first world country has already beat us to the punch. Some did so decades ago. Even the Chinese had powerful women in politics since the first day of becoming a communist nation. But in America, that sort of patriarchy is strong and carries a good bit of weight. Hence why avoiding it has helped Kamala. Especially when many Americans can read through social pandering in all situations, except for wrestling. And if that gives us this, that's a fucking fair trade. That's just a really good trade. But that type of pandering and lack of distance to it, the closer and closer we get to the final election day. It is the main reason that Kamala Harris is still right at even in many states with Trump. That and they don't parade Walz around enough. Dude has the same aura that comes along when someone brings a dog to a crowded area. Everyone just wants to be around him and enjoy conversation with him. Because God knows Kamala Harris is a character.
Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, "I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?"
Just not a very connecting character. Biden was the fiery grandpa who served for years and didn't make much of it like some other politicians did when it comes to their wallets. Trump was the rich guy you'd have a beer with. Obama was the orator with smoothness and swag. Bush was the somewhat lovable idiot from Texas. Clinton was the frat guy with intelligence, and so forth and so on. In fact, one of the big reasons she has a standing chance right now is that the character of Donald Trump is so polarizing. If Donald Trump went back to his fairly moderate early days, where he would dab in politics here and there and only spun tails on migrants like the typical Republican, ensuring that he used the dog whistles, outside Roe v. Wade being overturned, he likely will be one of the most likable presidents out there. Also, don't let Elon Musk on stage with you. A billionaire with a severely uncontrollable ego and shitty cars, none of which is a true American truck.
What the fuck?
Sorry, just had to get my Elon Musk jab in there. But someone like that isn't likable to most Americans. So to summarize here, Kamala Harris has good short distance policies such as codifying a woman's right to choose and the $50K tax credit for the first time home buyers. But outside those, what other policies has she informed you of that doesn't include running it back to Donald Trump and his failings? She has good ones, but who actually goes to a presidential campaign website and reads the fine print outside people like me? Look, it's a sign I need to get a life. The first step in fixing a problem is recognizing that you have one. Harris hadn't put any distance between her and Biden that would allow people to give her a fair shake as her own candidate. And she is focusing on the wrong narrative push. Outside Dick Cheney being named Dick and also reportedly having a decently sized, dick, it turns out those heart problems result from that blood flowing to something after all. Just not his heart. But beyond that, no one is interested in what any Cheney has to say. It's pandering to a people she could pull her way much easier by just giving her policies a living chance in things she will say. Even Republicans are tired of hearing over and over about Trump's past. Hell, even I don't think it's as much a danger now. If anything, it's now more a meme. I care about the means of living for myself, my neighbors, and my fellow human beings. You're a human. You deserve decency and respect of your rights, long as you ain't hurting or endangering someone else. And your politicians aren't even trying anymore to get the job done. But there could be more there, or maybe I hit the hammer on the head. And of course, maybe you will heavily disagree with me, especially if you are a forever no matter what Republican on my comments with Trump, or if you're a forever no matter what Democrat on my comments with Harris. And hey, that's cool. You have your reasons for believing them, and I have my reasons for not believing Democrats. But I do accept that they're the best stopgap we can get to we can finally start getting some decent politicians. I'm just Minx28, and I hope you have a great day. And don't forget to vote.